Hello and welcome to Leafy Greens vs. Zombies. In this episode we will take on the NMT. Check out the first episode for full rules, or stay put and get just necessary tools. Number 1 is you can't use anything except for Leafy Greens. Number 2 is we can't use power-ups cause they are OP. Third, we always have to skip the special stages. 4. Don't use pre-planted plants, pretend they are in cages. If you like my rapping, be sure to support. The time it takes is just very, very short. Leave a like and a comment in the comment section, and subscribe to me so you don't miss the next one. Now let's get on with this thing, let's get the party started. This is the Neon Mixtape tour taken on with the Leafy Green Garden. This world is full of gimmick zombies. That's about it. Zombies in this world have very few traits until their song is playing. On day 1 we can see this when all the zombies speed up slightly when the punk theme comes on. This is surprisingly relevant on some levels because of how precise I have to be with a few setups. That tiny bit of extra movement can completely screw up my rhythm. This world doesn't hold back and sends the first gimmick zombie on day 2. The punk rock zombie is nothing more than a brown coat until the punk theme plays. When it does, he does some crazy kicks that can move or throw plants backwards. Using ranged plants is the best way to deal with them, since things like bok choy will end up getting shoved to the back of the lawn. Day 3 doesn't give us any leafy greens to play with, so we will skip it, and I won't mention any more unplayable levels for the rest of the video. Day 4 is just a really long version of day 2, but we didn't make it so easily. The zombie density really ramps up, and since half of our plants are pre-picked already, it was a struggle. Even though we're out of the dark ages, sun production is a struggle. With one lawnmower left, we push past the last few zombies. Day 5 puts endangered fat beets and walnuts up front. With such a slow sun production, it's actually not too easy to work with this level. I lose in seconds on the first attempt because I overestimated the power of fat beets. 5 attempts in, I figured out a decent strategy that could take me past the level. It was still close though. I was lucky enough to have some punk zombies push the endangered plants back a few tiles, making them much easier to defend. Upon completion, we unlock our next leafy green, Celery Stalker. This high damage cheap plant is good for taking out many zombies. It fills a niche role in this series as an early damage dealer, which we previously didn't possess. Just one of these guys is enough to take out a conehead, unless the punk theme is playing. It's also important that I mention glitter zombies before I get too ahead of myself. These guys can be very dangerous for my strategy. They quickly crush plants when the disco theme is playing, and they protect zombies behind them. The first part is more concerning since our main damage dealers are melee. Even though the celery was the only leafy greens to be given to us on the conveyor belt for day 6, I was able to beat it on the second attempt. Day 7 combines the punk zombies with the glitter zombie. Celery Stalker takes pretty good care of both of them, but they do typically need a bit of assistance. The end of the level was tough to hang on to. No lawnmowers, few plants, and swarms of bucket heads and glitter zombies. Using hurricanes and charge guards, I was able to barely stall all the lanes and steal the win. I used a similar setup on day 8 to combat a similar zombie lineup. This time, knowing what I was going against, I was able to hold on to my mowers until the last flag and use them to help clear the rest of the zombies. Day 9 is interesting. It pre-picks our plants and gives us a ton of sunflowers. It also requires us to produce 2,000 sun. This should be easy if we can keep at least a couple sunflowers alive. We are given only Celery Stalker and iceberg lettuce to use against the swarm. The first attempt didn't look very promising, but I wanted to give it another shot. After seeing what is sent after just the first flag, I decided that this level wasn't going to be possible. Given that Celery Stalker is our only attacker, we don't have the resources to deal with a 3-flag stage, especially against all the punk zombies. When 2 punks are lined up behind each other, Celery Stalker becomes useless. It gets pushed back as soon as it comes out to attack, so we can't kill the punk zombies. We will have to skip this level. Day 10 introduces MC Zombie. We are provided with Celery Stalker on the conveyor, but we also get time warps, which we can't plant without affecting the board. And they just don't stop coming! This level could maybe be possible if the conveyor spit out a Celery Stalker every single time. But with the congestion of time warps, we have to skip this one too. We get to fight the Hair Metal Gargantuar on day 12. This guy can wreak some serious havoc in its lane when the metal music is playing. He smashes his guitar on the ground, sending a shockwave towards my plants and killing anything it hits. Fortunately, a well-timed blower sends him to the moon. Day 13 is a last stand level, and it sends a lot of tough zombies. I thought a ton of cabbage pults might do the trick, but we ended up losing very quickly. I had to resort to head butter lettuces, which still didn't work. But when I realized what I was facing, I was ready, and I could use my plant foods with bok choys to carefully eliminate the last zombies. The timing was tough, but I managed to just barely get by. I only get celery stalker, again, for day 14. Things are fairly rocky, but manageable, until the last wave. Remember what I said about punk zombies in pairs being impossible to deal with using just celery stalker? Well, impossible is a little harsh. I am able to deal with them if I can time it and place them all exactly right. The worst thing about this level was the fact that all the hard stuff was right at the end, so I had to struggle through the whole level every time I had to retry. And let me tell you, sitting and waiting for a celery stalker to recharge for minutes on end is not fun. Finally, on attempt 6, I was able to just barely kill the last few zombies. I was honestly not sure if this level was going to be possible, and it was really wearing me out. But we made it, and we can move on to day 15. A line of fat beets dead center is present for us to protect. This world would honestly not be all that bad if it wasn't for the MC zombie. I absolutely hate his guts. Just one of them is enough to take out 3 lanes of head butter lettuces and subsequently lose me the level. I tried a lot of things for this level. Eventually I realized that Charred Guard Blover combo should be a good tactic against these guys. Unfortunately, leaning hard into this tactic didn't do the trick. However, a combo of head butters and the Charred Guard Blover combo was able to take care of stuff. Using the combo, I could protect against the lettuces from the MC zombies. As I'm writing the script, however, I realized that iceberg plant food probably would have been a much easier solution. Either way, we took out the rest of the level easy with the head butters. Day 16 is a conveyor that gives us celery, but since Gargantuar's in the lineup, I didn't even bother trying to do this level. Perhaps with perfect luck on the conveyor, but after day 16 in the far future, I'm done messing around with that stuff. Breakdancers take the floor on day 17. Generally, by themselves, they aren't a problem, but when combined with other gimmick zombies like the punk zombie, our defenses could quickly disappear. Fortunately, this level is pretty forgiving. Day 18 tries to combo Breakdancer with MC Zombie, but I was able to avoid any catastrophes. Other than that, there wasn't anything daunting on this level. We have the same story on day 19 as day 16. Skip. We face a horde of gimmick zombies on the next day that is fairly manageable. No Gargantuars, and with good timing, we are able to avoid the MC Zombies' attacks, so not a huge trouble from this day. We have to protect a flower line on day 21 that's pretty close to the house. This would usually not be too hard to protect, but Breakdancer zombies are able to very quickly put pressure on my defenses. They can also occasionally protect me by kicking zombies over the flower line. We also have to deal with Gargs. Typically Gargs aren't a huge problem because we can just stall their attacks by placing plants under them, but in the Neon Mixtape tour, when the metal theme is playing, they can destroy 2 plants at once. This just makes them a little tougher to deal with. Arcade zombies push their way into day 23 and start spawning 8-bit zombies for me to deal with. These guys are super annoying for a number of reasons. Pushing over my celery stalkers, being mostly untargetable by my plants, and the machines they push have really high health that, if not managed quickly, will destroy my whole setup. For now, we are able to deal with them fairly easily, but the number of gimmick zombies on this level is pretty limited. We have to set up a last stand defense on day 24. I thought that a couple rows of lettuce in the first couple lanes would do the trick, but I realized multiple times that it wouldn't work so well with all the arcade zombies. Pushing the lettuces back just a bit really took care of things pretty well. All we had to deal with was a couple of metal gargs at the end that we had to let run into the lawnmowers. Day 25 is a pretty standard late game level. It was only 1 flag and didn't give me a whole lot of trouble. Next we have to protect a bunch of spore shrooms. They're placed right in front of the lawn, but fortunately the second wave brings a bunch of punk zombies that helps me push them out of harm's way. After that's taken care of, a pretty standard setup of lettuces and other supporting plants gets the job done nice and easy. But not so easy is the boombox zombie, especially in hordes. With so few insta-kill options, these guys are almost impossible to deal with. When they play their music, all of my plants become stunned and are very vulnerable to all zombies. It took me a good few tries to get this level down, but once I finally figured it out, our setup was unbreakable. Day 29 sends everything it's got. Punks, MCs, Gargs, and boomboxes. Surprisingly enough, I was just able to push through on my first try, but it was a close call with a struggling defense and no lawnmowers. We have a plant limit to deal with on this level that we can pretty much ignore since we never get that many plants anyways. This level was certainly tough. We had to deal with almost every type of zombie, and the boomboxes were some of the biggest problems. I was fortunate enough to be able to take them out from behind, and once they were taken care of, the remaining bucket heads were no problem. And this concludes the playthrough of the Neon Mixtape Tour. This one was certainly a step up in difficulty from the far future. It was a small step down from the Dark Ages, but given our sun predicament, I'm not surprised. In case you haven't already, be sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description, and we would be glad to have you there. If you've made it this far, be sure to go to the comments and leave me a comment with hashtag LVZNMT so I know you made it to the end, and I'll give your comment a heart. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for the Jurassic Marsh. Bye!